What's up, guys? This is Mr. Tool back again for another video. Today's topic is peaking in high school and the abstractions of human behavior. So, it's been said, back in the day, we used to believe that children were just little adults. This is the whole idea behind child labor, is that psychologists believe that a child is not just a child, that a child is just a smaller adult, and that they handle ideas and things the same way that an adult would, a more refined person would. Well, now we've taken that idea and we've flipped it on its head, and now instead we now have the idea that really adults are just grown-up children. Now this sounds dumb on the face of it. Well, of course they're just grown-up children. Obviously, that's what happens when people grow up. But what I mean by this is that everything that we do as an adult is simply an abstraction of something more primitive that we did as a kid. So let's say something like teasing or making fun of somebody else, like taking the piss out of somebody. Well, when we become adults, we still do that action. We still make fun of people. We still make fun of people in general, but we do it in a refined and more appropriate way that would be appropriate for society. So instead of calling someone a shithead, you might say, "Hey man, you're really stupid." Like it's the same. You're saying the exact same thing. You're just saying it in a more refined and more appropriate way that's more acceptable to human adult sensibilities. To go beyond this though, a lot of people peak in high school. So, from my experience, when I worked retail and from working at even office jobs where people have college degrees, is that like the behaviors that I saw in high school, all they did was just come straight to the workplace. So you had your jock kid who was a popular kid who worked in a certain department, and all the women would flock to him. You had your popular kids in this department that people would like. You had your nerd kids who worked in electronic that no one liked. You know, it was really jarring to me because like I was a little bit older than most people working at my last job, or at my when I worked at retail, at my last retail job. I was a little bit older than everybody, so it was kind of weird to more be older and looking at their behavior and saying, "Wow, did I behave that way at my first job?" Because like these kids were all behaving like high schoolers, and some of them never grew out of it. So some of them are still there, and the same drama that they had, 6 years ago when I worked there is still there. These people are still single mothers. You fucked my boyfriend, I'm gonna fuck your boyfriend type shit. Like it really is jarring to me to see that the behavior never really changed, and that a lot of normies just peak out in high school and they never really refine themselves beyond that point. The people, and then even in an office environment where I work now, like I worked in two office environments, and the same behavior still applies. It's just more refined. Once again, it's even more refined. So you have to like read between the lines a little bit more to see what they're really saying to you. So instead of somebody saying, "Hey man, you're stupid," they might make a comment like, "He's not really the sharpest tool in the shed." Like that's just a little phrase or a turn of phrase you can use to say this guy's stupid. But you can't say stupid at that high level of work. So you use a phrase, or you use an idiom, or you use a simile or a metaphor in order to get your point across. So how does this stuff relate to incels? Well, it relates in sort of like the ways like the dating game. Like if you didn't learn the more refined ways to pick up a chick, you're still down at that like 3-year-old or 5-year-old way of picking up chicks, which was making fun of them or not talking to them at all. Like you might not talk to your girls at all because you think they're icky or gross. And you're like, that's not to say that you think that way, but like you never refined your skills in high school, so effectively your mating strategies all peaked in like the fifth grade or the eighth grade. Like you never went beyond that point. So it's almost like you're taking a class in like say you're taking, I don't know, calculus. Well, for calculus you need to know algebra or some sort of like algebra, or yeah, algebra for sure. So like, but let's say like you only know basic arithmetic and you're trying to take calculus. Like you literally can't do it. Like there's no way, without teaching you algebra and teaching you basic functions and how f of x and blah 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 blah, teaching you the basics of algebra and how to get past an algebraic expression, and teaching you math, the basic math expressions you need to know in like high school and college. I couldn't possibly teach you how to do calculus. And this is probably the prime reason why most dating coaches fail. They're trying to treat a problem, or really they fail because their shift doesn't work, but beyond that, they're trying to treat a problem that is beyond their pay grade. Like, they're trying to teach the guy calculus when he doesn't even know arithmetic, or he doesn't even know algebra yet. Like, he's still at the basics of, like, hey, what do women even like? What do women even want to what women even into? Why do women like that stuff? Why can't I talk to them the same way I talk to my male friends? What's up with that? Why can't I do that? Like, they're still down there. They don't even understand women. But, like, you're trying to teach these men how to, like, pick up a chick. Well, of course it's not going to work. Of course they're going to be frustrated and upset. Now, beyond that, rejecting a lookism is also a reason why this stuff fails, obviously, because, like, once again, if they need to be, dating coaches, they need to be more brutally honest with their clients, quote unquote, if they're going to be actually trying to help people, which I don't think their idea is to help anybody, really. I think their idea is to extract money. But beyond that, if you're actually going to help people, though, you need to be brutally honest. If someone's a 5 out of 10 in the face, you need to be honest and say, hey, dude, your face, no matter how much I teach you, your face is always going to be inhibitive to your ability to pick up chicks. There's nothing I can do for you. I'm sorry. Here's the truth. Instead of telling them a lie and telling them to keep buying the next boot camp or to keep buying the next book or the dating coach crap. And to go beyond that, though, like, just talk about human behavior real quick. When we're talking about men and women and that, and how we behave, once again, you only need to look back at what did this person do as a kid. Like, you can tell when somebody is underdeveloped in the social sphere by the way they behave. Like, for example, if somebody's cracking jokes, like, nonstop, and they don't know when to, like, let somebody else talk, and they keep talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and they think it's all about them, someone who's more socially refined might look at that person and say, man, you really don't know how to, like, have a conversation with anybody. You might not have learned that skill as a kid. You might not have learned that, hey, a conversation is a two-way street, and that talking over somebody, or just when you keep talking and talking and talking, is not a good way to have a conversation. Like, these are basic skills that get taught to you over time as you interact in the social sphere. But if you never actually have the interaction in the social sphere, you end up with a stunted social, let's call it a social muscle. Like, you don't have the social capital, I guess would be the word for it, to navigate through a more higher end conversation with adults, because adults expect to be talked to, not talked at. Another example, if I can think of one off the top of my head, would be, like, insults. Like, I'd used these before, but, like, yeah, calling someone a poopy head or a doo-doo head, like, you might be like, who says that at age, 25? No, like, you expect the word shithead or dumb fuck or some sort of, like, other expletive instead of, like, poo-poo head or doo-doo head. Like, dumb stuff like that you would notice, and you would know if you were as socially developed as that person was, you would know, hey, this is not the way an adult acts, or this is not a way that a teenager acts, or someone of a certain social capital would act. In my own personal experience, like, personally, I had a horrible high school social sphere game. I was extremely underdeveloped when it came to social interaction, and when I first got my first job, especially after high school. It wasn't until I worked retail that I really learned how social interaction really works. And I think, in my honest opinion, I think retail saved my ass, because retail is where I got my first girlfriends at. Truth be told, it's where I got my first dating experiences at. Because, like, you got the thing was that, like, it was almost like retail was like a second high school for me. So when I got my first retail job, I was around people of the similar level, so I was able to, like, level up through those small ranks. So if you can find people, the best advice I can give you, this is not dating advice, this is just general social advice that I can give you, is that if you can find people who are around your level and around your age, if you're still young, you still have a chance. Like, if you're still like 19, 18, 19, if you can find, if let's say you're in college and you're working a regular job, like, really interact with the people around you, because you're going to learn a lot about social interaction, social spheres, and how to actually talk to people, and don't be a recluse your entire life. Now, obviously, if there's something else wrong with you, then I'm sorry that this advice might not work for you. But in general, if you're like a failed normie or like a decent looking dude or even a bad looking dude, you should still be trying to like level up your social game the best way you can, which is by talking to people and talking to random people as well. Because that's what helped me a lot, was talking to people I wouldn't normally talk to at all. Like, you talk to the random person on the floor, sales floor, you strike up a conversation. That's how you learn small talk. You learn how to talk to women, you learn how to talk to men, you learn how to talk to people. So this has been Mystery School. Please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment if you liked the video. Other than that, never forget, guys, that wisdom is gold, and see you next time.